Whatty up, boss? Welcome to the Mac City Morning Show.
Once again, I don't introduce our guests. I'll let them introduce themselves because they'll always do a better job at it than I can. So on that note, sir, thank you for showing up today. Tell the people at home who you are, what you're about, and let's get started.
Hi, I'm Borrey, and I'm a father of two and a husband. And yeah, I've been here in Fort Murray since 2012.
Okay.
And yeah, just I work from home. I'm one of the OG work from home people in Fort McMurray. So and yeah, I do a lot of running,
You do a
and
lot of running, man.
I do like to explore the outdoors here.
Right.
And yeah, other than that,
That's your story.
that's my story.
That's the intro to your story,
Yeah.
anyways. That's a brief intro. So that's how I know you in regards to you are an avid runner. And you're a crazy runner for that matter. Like you are always out and about running in this community. It doesn't matter if it's super hot or super cold. You are out there running. So how did that start? How did this running journey of yours start?
Well, I grew up as a competitive swimmer,
Okay.
and I swam for the U of A. And after that, um, I guess I just had an identity crisis. So I just buried myself in work,
Mm.
and I didn't do anything athletic for probably about, I want to say like 5, 6 years. And Tracy got into triathlon, my wife, and from there I decided I would try and do an Ironman. So the year I came here, I signed up for Ironman Canada in Penticton, and I took about 9 months to get ready for that, and did my first Ironman.
Yeah. How did it
And
go?
it was good. It was a good learning experience. And in swimming, I did more like mid distance, right? So my races are, we're talking about 2 minutes, 1 minute, right? So it's a different challenge. So it was fun in that way, right?
Hmm.
And yeah, from there, I since I work from home, I thought that joining the tribe club would be a good way of interacting with other people. And then from there, um, they needed a swim coach, so I became a community swim coach for the triathlon club. And having kids, from there we started having kids, and you know, to get to get onto the highway for the bike and clean your bike, or to get down to the pool is just it starts adding a little bit more time here and there.
Right.
Sometimes it's just easier to lace up and go for a run, right?
Okay. So that's how it started then.
That's how it started.
And now, as far as running, like you are a part of a big running crew. Now, I don't know who started the running crew, if it was you or a group of people or you just joined in, but you guys do like weekly walks, runs, whatever you like. Explain to the people at home what they are. I've never joined, but I know my mother takes part in a lot of them. So, what are you doing weekly in regards to running outside of your own ridiculous running schedule?
Um, well, I first got involved with the Wood Buffalo Trail Running Series. So
Okay.
we tried to put on about 3 races a year, and now with COVID, it's on hold, right?
Right.
And we're trying to regroup. But as a part of that, we wanted to introduce people to to the trails. So
Mm-hmm.
we started kind of like a weekly thing before races,
Mm-hmm.
kind of leading up to the races, so people would feel a little bit more comfortable. Um, and then Jess came on and said like, let's do this a little bit more frequently. And I said, I think that's a great idea.
Right.
I host one on Sunday. We call it Sunday Runday, and it's a little bit more. The way I put it is, the terrain is not forgiving,
Mm-hmm.
but we're never going to leave anybody behind. So no matter what pace you are, we could always double back for you, or we could take a rest on the top of the hill.
Right.
And a big part of that is because everybody knows Birchwood Trails, but there's so much vast wilderness that's just out the back door that a lot of people don't even know, right?
That's right. I know my mom. She's an avid runner. That's how I got started at a young age. My mom ran, and so like you see what your parents do, and you kind of gravitate to that. And she moved here in 1977, so she's been in Fort McMurray for a long time. And every Sunday she will call after going out with you guys. She's like, "Oh my God, we went to this new place and I learned this and this." Like she's finding little treasures every time she goes out. And this is somebody who has been active and has seen the community. So it just goes to show how many things are out there that like even when you live here, you don't know about it.
I think Fort McMurray has a lot of gems like that. Like, we're starting to reconnect with the history past of the running group that was here, the running club,
Right.
and it's just amazing to see and like all the cool stories that are coming out of there. It's really amazing. We had some really like fast runners, and
Mm-hmm.
and like we had big groups doing crazy. Like you call me crazy.
Yeah.
It was like that was a normal thing back in the day.
Yeah, and I remember when I was getting into running many, many years ago. Fort McMurray's running community was huge, and yeah, I used to have like the Mayor's 10K and like the Turkey Trot and all these different races, and then somehow like yeah, it kind of petered off, which was kind of strange. But then that's how I think you and I got I got reintroduced to running, and yourself in regards to I had a company that I used to work for, Accurate. Awesome company. Used to work for Accurate, and the Trail Series came and approached me for some sponsorship, and I got very involved with actually like sponsoring and sending down volunteers to help out with the races.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so you guys have since that time, and we're talking now was at least 8 years ago plus now, have really like picked up what that trail running series was, and have turned it into a real big thing.
I think especially around the like with the fire as well. I think it and like that brought on Jess as well. I think it people were really looking for ways to kind of reconnect with you know the community, and
Yeah,
I think that was a great way of doing it.
yeah. So now, in regards to running, we were talking to Jess a little bit about this last time she was here. For everybody who doesn't know, we interviewed somebody who's also a part of the running team here, and she's running a ridiculous distance all the way to Fort Chippewa. So we asked her a question that I'm definitely going to talk to you about, and I put on special running shoes today for this episode as well. What kind of running shoes are you wearing?
I think it really depends. I do like ultras, which she's an ambassador for.
Mm-hmm.
I find if the trail gets a little bit technical, because they let your toes splay a lot, that also means if you're doing sharp turns or stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
I find my feet slide a little bit in them.
Right.
So I tend to go with something a little bit like a Solomon. They do squeeze your feet a little bit more,
Mm-hmm.
but if you're doing turns and stuff like that, you don't really want your feet to slide in your shoes. So.
Right. Right. So Solomon's or
Ultras.
are you
Yeah.
like this is the cool thing I like to talk about runners about their runners sneakers is that most runners aren't wearing tradition. People who run often, I should say, are not really wearing traditional runners like a Nike or Adidas or a Reebok. I find that once you put in the kilometers, they gravitate to these like niche shoe companies.
I think it's neat to try out shoes, and I do have a pair of Nike. I have two pairs of Nikes,
Yeah,
right? And they're great.
yeah,
And you know what? I've been more interested in maybe like trying them out for like a marathon and stuff like that for
right,
the road.
right.
But for the trails, I feel like they're kind of starting to get into the trail world of running. And it's there's some established companies that are out there that are fun
Yeah.
to try as well.
Yeah. These are Nikes that I have on right now, and I love the look of Nikes. But I find like running in them just doesn't for me, treadmill runner. Like the running in Nikes just don't work for me. Like I'm wearing Asics. But it's funny what you said is completely opposite from my running experience in regards to cuz I'm on a treadmill going straight, I don't need to worry about sharp turns. So I don't want my feet to be like loosey goosey in there. I need them to be tight and ready to go. So yeah, I like to talk to runners about their shoes. So yeah, sweet. So now in regards to because you've given me some grief over the years about me running inside as much as I do, not venturing out, which I did do one of your races up in Gregoire one time. Um, what are the benefits that you find of running outside versus somebody like myself who's always on the treadmill?
I find it just more enjoyable. I mean, like, I think if you ask me, like, what is the best thing about Wood Buffalo or Fort McMurray
Mhm.
is it's just like the wilderness is your backyard, right? Like, you are at most 5 kilometers, probably less than 5 kilometers from just an endless trail systems of quads or like, you know, hunting trails and all that stuff.
Hmm.
So it's like I just like to go out and explore, right? Just kind of see what's out there. Like that's what Fort McMurray has to offer. That's different than say like Edmonton because you'd have to drive out to
Correct.
who knows where, right?
Right. Right. So the exploration component makes it awesome to run outside. Yeah. Now, I didn't know this, and this is what I love doing. Why I love doing the show is you said you were like a competitive swimmer at the U of A.
Yep.
So this dovetails into why I think you're a lunatic in regards to your competitive swimming. It's nice and warm. You're in a pool. Now you've transitioned to running in the coldest of temperatures. Like every year we hit the coldest place in the world. We crush Siberia for goodness sakes. So what is that transition like from doing like a warm sport transitioning to like, yeah, I'm gonna run in Siberian based temperatures?
Um, well, I think it kind of dovetails into trail running or ultra running, right? The way I like to kind of think of it is it's controlled stress. Like first world problems, we live a pretty cushy life, right?
No doubt.
So it's always kind of nice to kind of put yourself in put yourself in an uncomfortable situation, but it's controlled, right? Like if you're in a ultra race, right?
Hmm.
There's support, there's aid, right? And here, at most you're, probably 5 kilometers away from civilization, right?
Right.
So if you're really in a lot of trouble, you have that safety net, but you're kind of putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, and your body learns to adapt and thrive in that kind of situation.
That's awesome. Okay, so for young runners, like I said, I started running at an extremely young age because I saw my mom doing it, and then her friend and her one day called me out. Emily McDonald. That's my mom's friend. You probably know Emily.
Yep.
And my mom, I wasn't even a teenager yet, and I was very active. And then they said, "Oh, I bet you can't beat us old ladies." And I said, "Oh, crush you old ladies." And I went out and I did my first 10-kilometer run, and then I was hooked for years afterwards. Um, but not every child has a parent like mine who's active and like really pushes them to do that. So if you are a child and you want to get engaged in running, what advice would you give them?
Hmm. I, I think it goes for most athletics, especially at a young age. Don't be afraid to try new things, and don't feel like you don't feel obliged to to stick with it, right? Just have fun, right? Especially at a young age, and people that are older and getting into the sport and stuff like that. I mean, unless you're getting paid to to do a sport, if
Mm,
it's no longer fun, then try something new or try something different, right?
that's right.
Um, I think people put too much pressure, especially, if there's a race or something like that. You know, more than anything, the biggest thing that you could do to improve is consistency, right? So, you don't want to push yourself till you get injured, or you don't want to get push yourself until, you know, you hate the sport, or, like it's no longer fun. So just keep it fun, keep it light, and, your body usually knows what's best.
Right,
Stress is stress, right? So if you're stressed at home, if you're stressed at work, you don't need to add more stress by stressing over, athletics.
right, right. Cool. So just have fun.
Just have fun, yeah.
There we go. All right. Well, we're at the part of the show. I call it Tanner's part of the show, where we call the segment the Mac City Minute. So Tanner has some questions for you. Hope you're ready. Tanner, hit him with the Mac City Minute.
Alrighty. First question for you today is, what is one thing you do to train for a run that would surprise people?
Hmm. What would I do that would surprise people? I probably don't do as much as people think, even to get prepared, right? So even when I did the like most races, I would probably like if I have a big race, I try and keep it light, right? So if I'm moving up to a race, I'll focus on it for maybe at most 9 months, right? Any
Mm,
more than that, then people start to I start to burn out, right?
right. That's surprising.
Question number 2 for you. What's something you grab when you want a snack?
Oh, um, anything. I actually, you know what? One thing that I do like is syrup. So there's an endurance tap. So if you're ever out on a race, endurance tap is great. It's basically just maple syrup, a little bit of ginger, and a little bit of salt. And you know, or you know what, in a race, flat pop in a longer race.
Mhm.
Flat Coke, great.
Question number 3 for you. What is your favorite place to go for a run?
The mountains I do like. In town, I love Abisan. Abisan has a couple great loops. You can cross the horse and the hanging stone, and it has a lot of vert, so you have a lot of good climbing to do.
Question number 4 for you. What is your favorite part of doing a triathlon?
Doing a triathlon, I'm obviously most comfortable in the water. I used to actually be the most uncomfortable running. I used to be a horrible runner. Um, but I would say, yeah, the swim because I just feel most comfortable.
Right.
Alrighty, and question number 5. If you could run any famous race, what race would that be?
Oh, there's so many. One that I would really like to do that's kind of less under the radar in terms of most people is there's a race called Mount Marathon in Stuart. It's I think it's probably about 5K, about maybe just, but it's up a mountain, so it's ridiculously hard. Some of the fastest runners, mountain runners that have done it, they're taking about 45 minutes to do a 5K.
Oh
So
wow.
I think on average the mountain slope is like almost like 45 degrees. So
Well, those have been your 5 questions.
There you
thank you.
go. Yeah, mountain running. I have never tried mountain running. It's the uphill doesn't scare me as much as like the downhill component of it because that's where it's fun. People don't think about this or take it for granted, I guess. But running, you can get hurt running.
Yep.
You can get hurt running. So I've climbed a few mountains, but I've never ran a mountain. That'd be a challenge for sure.
It'd be an uphill battle.
There you go, Tanner. Zing zing. Okay. So you've done some mountain running, have you?
I mean, I've done well. Some of the ultras are in mountains, so I've
Yep.
done a 100 miler down at Crow's Nest Pass,
Okay.
and I think you end up climbing 2 or 3 mountains.
Okay. It's funny. You're like, well, not real. 100 miler. Okay. Now, Tanner asked you about some food there. You chose to talk about food for the race, which I love. And I'm going to, off camera, talk to you about the syrup thing that you're talking about. But I know I run, and I've shared this with the people at home. I just love to eat food. And so, like, I have a decent metabolism as it is, but I recognize to keep in the physical shape I want, I got to put in some time. You run so much that your calorie intake must be like pretty high, I would assume.
I don't count actually, but
Neither do I. But you can eat anything, I think, based on the amount of running you do.
more or less.
What's your guilty pleasure to eat? Like junk food. What are you going for?
Oh, I'd probably have to say chips.
Chips.
Yeah.
Okay. What kind of chip?
Any kind of chips, but even chips and salsa,
Okay.
or like, yeah, just any bag of chips. You know,
Okay.
like those family packs, they go pretty fast.
They go pretty fast. That's awesome.
They don't realize my family is just me.
Yeah, yeah. My favorite. I'm on a chip kick right now. Miss Vicky's salt and vinegar chips. I could eat them every day, and unfortunately, I went on a bender where I did for 2 weeks, and I wasn't eating the small bag.
A chip bender, everybody.
A chip bender, everybody. Yeah, Miss Vicky's salt and vinegar chips. 2 weeks. It was a problem. I'm
Yeah.
off them now, though. I'm
That's
off them
good.
now. Yeah. So, man, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming in today. This has been a great conversation.
Yeah.
Please come back. I know you are such a big advocate of Fort McMurray, not just in running. People know who you are. You stand out. You do so much good in the community. And I think the physical attributes that you bring, you're just like a happy guy. People gravitate to you and you promote something healthy, which is like physical activity. So anytime you want to come back on the show and talk about what you're doing or you have any runs on the go, please, please, please feel free to come back in.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So before I cut you loose, though, I know you don't have like a business per se to plug, but if somebody wants to get involved with the running club, what you're doing, how can they get in contact with you?
Search us on the Fort McMurray Facebook group, It's Fort McMurray Runners. Other than that, yeah, I mean, that's probably the best way to reach us.
Okay.
And yeah, keep in touch. We're gonna try and bring some races back once COVID is over, and we'll see how the season goes.
That's awesome. Awesome, man. Thank you very much. Okay, Fort McMurray and Wood Buffalo, thank you very much for tuning in today. Really do appreciate it. And if you're outside of the region, I really appreciate you tuning in. So we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.
Cheers.
Peace.